Amara was 31 when life hit her at its lowest point. After 7 long years of marriage and countless failed attempts to have a child, her husband walked away without warning, leaving only a short note on the center table. "I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry." And just like that, he was gone. No lovely goodbye, no face-to-face conversation, just silence where love once lived. She read the note again and again, hoping somehow the words would change. They didn't, and neither did the loneliness that followed. Amara struggled with shame, heartbreak, and the heavy feeling of her dreams slipping away. She had wanted to be a mother more than anything. Now she was alone, divorced, childless, and full of questions. Who was she without him? Without a family? Still, Amara wasn't someone who stayed buried in pain. One afternoon, while volunteering at a child welfare center, she met 5 boys who would change her life completely. They were brothers, all under the age of 15, wearing mismatched clothes and carrying eyes full of uncertainty. Their parents had died in a fire, leaving them orphaned and unwanted. Relatives refused to take them in, unwilling to raise 5 children together. One social worker even described them as a package deal no one wants. But when Amara looked at them, she saw more than abandoned kids. She saw something familiar: pain, fear, and the quiet that comes after being rejected too many times. That night, she couldn't close her eyes. Their faces stayed in her mind. She thought about how she had once dreamed of becoming a mother, and how that dream had been taken from her. Now, suddenly, there was a chance. Not the perfect life she had imagined, but something real, raw and unfiltered love knocking at her door. She didn't have much. A small house, a modest income, and no partner to help carry the weight. But she had a heart full of love, and it was ready to give. So she made a decision. One by one, she brought them home. First was Daniel, the oldest. Quiet, but deeply protective. Then came Samuel, a thoughtful boy whose eyes seemed to take in everything. The twins, Michael and Matthew, followed, inseparable troublemakers with smiles that could brighten any room. And finally, little Zion, just 5 years old, with soft cheeks you couldn't resist. The early days were chaotic. School fees stacked up. Food was sometimes limited. Sleepless nights became normal. There were tantrums, broken furniture, scraped knees, and endless trips to the clinic. When the teenage years came, they arrived like storms. Attitudes clashed, voices rose, and doors slammed hard. But in the middle of all that mess, something beautiful began to grow. There were days they danced in the rain, barefoot and laughing freely. Sundays were filled with singing, gospel music echoing through their small living room as they shared plates of jollof rice and stories. Amara taught them how to tie a tie, how to say sorry, how to cook, and most importantly, how to love. She wasn't perfect. Some days she cried quietly in the bathroom, overwhelmed and unsure, but she never gave up. Every hug, every correction, every bedtime story came from a place of deep devotion, the kind only a true mother gives. Slowly, the boys began to thrive. Daniel earned a university scholarship. Samuel started a tech blog that gained attention online. The twins launched a small fashion brand that quickly grew. And Zion, the youngest, showed a natural gift for music that amazed everyone. As the years passed, they moved out. Some even left the country for work and studies. But no matter where life took them, they always came back home, to her. Amara's small house remained their center, full of laughter and memories. She never asked for anything in return. For her, their happiness was enough. Time moved quickly. Amara's hair turned gray, and her hands showed the years of cooking, cleaning, and caring. Yet her spirit stayed strong. She watched with pride as her boys became men, not just successful, but kind and grounded. Daniel became a respected engineer, known for his calm thinking and leadership. Samuel made a name in tech, building apps that helped communities connect. Michael and Matthew expanded their fashion brand across borders, dressing well-known figures. And Zion, with his golden voice, rose in the music world, touching hearts with songs about struggle, hope, and love. They traveled the world, but every holiday, birthday, and family gathering brought them back to the one person who made it all possible: Amara. She never asked for gifts, not even a thank you. But deep inside, she quietly wished for something more than the small house she had lived in for over 30 years. It was worn down now. The roof leaked when it rained, the floors creaked, and the paint had faded long ago. Still, she never complained. On the morning of her 60th birthday, she woke to the smell of fresh bread and coffee. All 5 of her boys were home, the house filled with laughter as they joked and teased each other like they were still kids. She sat outside on the old wooden bench, smiling as she watched them. Life had been difficult, but this moment meant everything. Then Daniel stepped forward, holding something wrapped in white cloth. "Mama," he said gently, "we have something for you." The others gathered close, their eyes full of excitement. She looked at them, confused but curious. Gifts were never her thing. She always told them not to spend money on her. But this wasn't something small. Daniel slowly pulled away the cloth, revealing a large silver key tied to a ribbon. Amara blinked in confusion. "What is this?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Samuel smiled warmly. "It's yours now." Michael and Matthew stepped aside, revealing a van parked just outside the gate. Inside were pictures, bright, glossy images of a brand new house, spacious and modern with white walls, wide windows, and a garden full of blooming flowers. "We built it together," Zion said, kneeling beside her. "For you, for us, for our family." Tears filled her eyes. She couldn't speak. Her heart pounded like it might burst out of her chest. All those years of sacrifice, giving everything without expecting anything back, had led to this moment. I don't know what to say," she finally whispered, her voice shaking. "You don't have to say anything," Daniel said gently. "We just want you to know. We remember everything. Every night you stayed up worrying about school fees. Every time you cooked with whatever you had left just so we could eat. Every hug, every correction, every prayer. You gave us everything when no one else would." They helped her to her feet and guided her toward the van. As they drove away from the house she had lived in for so many years, she looked back one last time. Not with sadness, but with gratitude. That house held memories, laughter, tears, growth, pain, and love. So much love. The new home was everything Amara never imagined she deserved. Her sons hadn't just built it with bricks and wood. They built it with gratitude, memories, and purpose. She moved in slowly, touching the walls as if they might disappear beneath her fingers. There was a large kitchen where she could cook for them again, a wide living room for family gatherings, and a garden filled with roses, her favorite. But the surprises didn't end there. A few weeks after moving in, Daniel sat beside her on the porch one evening as the sky turned orange. "Mama," he began softly, "we want to do something special." She looked at him, curious. "We want to give you something else," he continued. "Something that truly belongs to you." Samuel walked over holding a thick folder and handed it to her carefully. "What is this?" she asked. "A gift," Matthew said. "A promise," Michael added. "From us to you," Zion said with a smile. She opened the folder and froze. Inside were official documents, signed and sealed. A trust fund in her name, created by all 5 of them, enough to make sure she would never have to worry again, covering medical care, travel, even funding a small business if she ever wanted one. "You did this. For me?" she whispered. They all nodded. "We owe you everything," Daniel said. "You gave us a life when we had none. Now it's our turn to make sure you live well." Tears rolled down her cheeks, not from sadness, not even just joy, but from a deep, unshakable sense of fulfillment. This was never the life she had planned. She once dreamed of a husband, children of her own, a family built by blood. Instead, life gave her pain, rejection, and silence. But then came 5 little boys who needed her more than anyone ever had, and through them, she found herself. Months after her 60th birthday, something else happened. Unexpected, almost unreal. One by one, each of her sons decided to get married, but not separately. They made a bold decision to have one grand wedding. 5 grooms, 5 brides, one unforgettable day. A celebration not just of love, but of the woman who taught them what love truly means. The wedding became the talk of the entire region. 5 sharp suits, 5 radiant brides, music filling the air, and one special seat in the front, reserved for Amara. Dressed in royal blue, she sat with tears in her eyes and pride in her heart. The master of ceremony didn't begin with the couples. He began with her. "Before we celebrate these 5 men," he said, "let's honor the queen who raised them, alone, strong, and full of grace." The entire crowd stood. Applause echoed everywhere. And for the first time in her life, Amara heard strangers call her a queen. After the wedding, photos spread quickly. People wrote about her story. Organizations reached out. A publisher even offered to turn her life into a book. She smiled at it all, not for fame, but because her quiet sacrifices finally had a voice. Now every Sunday, she hosts lunch for her sons and their families. The once quiet house is alive again, filled with laughter, spilled juice, and toy cars scattered under the table. Her grandchildren call her Mama Amma. Neighbors call her the Mother of Kings. And Amara? She simply calls herself grateful. She didn't get the life she once prayed for. She got something greater. She didn't just adopt 5 boys, she raised 5 kings. Her journey proves that every life has purpose, even when it feels broken or empty. She wasn't chosen by fate, but her choice to love when no one else would changed everything. With no husband, no wealth, and no clear direction, she stepped into uncertainty with nothing but compassion. And that was enough. Her story reminds us that worth isn't defined by labels. Once seen as childless, unwanted, forgotten, in the eyes of 5 boys, she became everything. A guide, a protector, a mother. Love doesn't wait for perfect conditions. It grows in the messy moments, the hard days, the quiet sacrifices. And what we give freely often returns in the most unexpected and beautiful ways. Family, as Amara showed, isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, and who gives their heart fully. Her pain didn't define her. Her choices did. And by choosing love, she built a legacy far greater than she ever imagined. Because sometimes, what the world needs most is someone brave enough to care. Thank you for watching.